I have part of a plan.
What percentage of a plan do you have?
You don't get to ask questions after the nonsense you pulled on Nowhere.
I just saved Quill.
We've already established that you destroying the ship that I'm on is not saving me.
When did we establish?
Like 3 seconds ago!
No, I wasn't listening. I was thinking of something else.
Oh.
She's right. You don't get an opinion. What percentage?
I don't know. 12%.
12%?
That's a fake laugh.
It's real!
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick!
What exactly is it that they do?
Kick names, take ass.
Blue flower, red thorns, blue flower, red thorns, blue flower, red thorns. This would be so much easier if I wasn't colorblind.
What did I do wrong? No! Why are you leaving me if I didn't do anything wrong? I don't understand. I thought you liked me!
I do like you. Just...
Tell me the truth! Why are you leaving me? What did you see? Why did you change?
You're scaring me, Pearl.
Great. Well, welcome back. It's another great day to talk about a movie and another great day to watch a movie. If you haven't watched one, go find one to watch. Or go watch the one we're about to talk about, then come back. But you have stumbled upon Get a Load of This Movie, a franchise movie podcast. And today we are starting a new franchise. Pretty excited about it. We are talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Pretty excited. We talked about doing it one at a time. So we're going to do one as one episode, two as its own, and three as its own. Is that correct?
Yes, and we will lightly talk about the holiday special for probably like 5 seconds when we talk about the third.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll probably have to bring it up with the third because there's stuff that happens that you need to talk about.
There's a detail.
Yeah.
A detail.
But we can get there. We can get there when we get there. So I'm not too worried about it. We have a lot to get to today. But I think we should start with kind of what's on everyone's mind right now. And we're going to get into the results, talking about disappointing results. We have the results of the movie draft for October. We have the winners and we have the losers, and everyone is accounted for. So how do you want to do this? That was
a great lead-in, buddy.
Yeah,
it was a great lead-in.
You know what? First time, we'll get better at it. I don't think we're going to be doing one for November just because we're already in November, so we can't really I don't know. It's a little bit. Well, we'll do one for December. We'll be better about it. We just weren't prepared for it.
Might be like an every other month thing.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so in first place with the box office, we have Joker, Zach's Joker, coming in at number 1 with 58 million. Number 2, we had my pick, which was Terrifier 3, coming in at 47 million. And then at number 3, we had Smile 2 coming in at 45. So it did pretty well. Horror movies did pretty well. I was kind of expecting that, but not expecting Terrifier to do the numbers they did. But happy to see that. I think that works well. Zach, do you have anything you would like to say for winning that category?
Thanks.
Wow. Inspiring. Okay, on to our next category. We're going to go into the letterbox score. My pick Saturday night had a 3.0. Cole's pick for Your Monster had a 3.5. And Zach's pick of, I believe it was Salem's Lot. Zach picked Salem's Lot, and it had 2.4. So, Cole, you won that category. Congratulations. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
History will remember.
Inspiring. Thank you.
It's better than Salem's Lot.
Great. Awesome.
Inspiring. History will remember.
Out of curiosity, what was Nora's letterbox?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was high. I think it was like a 5 out of 5. I don't think anyone really...
Zach, history
I'm asking even though I already have it up. It's 4.2.
Oh.
History doesn't remember that, buddy. History doesn't remember that.
You would have won. I would have won if I picked it too. It's crazy fact. Anyway, so Zach has 1 point for first. Cole has 1 point for first. I've done second place both times, so let's see if I can pull out a first place finish here. For our Rotten Tomatoes score, we had my pick, The Apprentice, stupid pick, hate that I did it, don't know why, at 82%. Cole, we had your pick, Woman of the Hour, at 90%. And Zach, we had your pick, Conclave, at 92%. That means, Zach, you have finished first place in 2 categories, meaning you came in first. Cole, you had 1 finish in first place, meaning you were in second place. and I had no finishes in first place, meaning I am dead last, loser, did not try. So congratulations, Zach. You won this month. Do you have anything to say? Do you have a victory speech? Anyone you would like to thank, or is this all you? It's just all you. This is what you do.
It's just on me. I guess you guys just don't know ball.
I don't.
You're just like all natural, you know.
Great, awesome.
I guess so.
So that was
calling you before Congress, bud.
Okay. So that was our big thing this one that we wanted to get out of the way. Congratulations, Zach, our month-long trivia, or a month-long game that we played, our first one, so that was exciting. We had a couple other things that I wanted to get to before we start talking about the movie and before we do the call sheet, and I wanted to address some of our fan comments. We have been getting a lot.
You have comments?
We have fans?
We have gotten a lot of fan comments on our posts, and so I wanted to read a few of them, and I wanted to see your guys' reaction. Because I don't think you guys have seen any of these comments, because I'm the one who posts everything and responds to everything. So I know, and I haven't shown you any of them, so I know you're not checking. So I wanted to get your guys' reactions to it. So in our last episode, we covered the Terrifier movies, and we talked about if you could put Art the Clown in one movie and replaces any character, what movie it would be and which character you're replacing. We gave our answers and I posted them, and some other people had other things to say. This user, I'm not going to read users. Jackson Rickson 2075. He said Hunger Games.
Oh, I know that guy.
Oh, look at this. Hunger Games, and he replaces Katniss or Peeta. I think it'd be funny if you replaced Peeta, honestly.
Bad answer.
No, I think Peeta would be
bad answer, Jackson 2.15.
2075. 2075. And we have, I didn't practice any of these names. I apologize. But we have Matt Bouchard. I don't know if that's how you say it. And he said Avengers, and he's replacing the Hulk. What do we think of that?
Ooh, that would actually be fun.
That might be
These
fun.
are some bad answers.
No, come on. This one's a bad answer. You ready for this one? This one's a bad answer.
Oh, okay.
This is from user I'm that one guy with figs, and it's Scream, and he's replacing the killer. That's a dumb answer. I don't know why you would want to do that. I don't think that works.
If you're gonna take the time to comment under a TikTok post, then you can take the time to think of a better.
I would like
answer.
to say I appreciate your guys' patronage. Sorry, these guys are being
no
dicks
patronage.
about it.
There's no patronage.
Well,
is this patronage in the room with us now?
I think that's it. I think it would have been funnier if Art the Clown was replacing like Sydney in Scream, and he was getting chased by the killer.
See, already that's
I think that's a better answer.
Already
Anyway.
a better answer.
Our next one is Rocky the Dog 93, and Rocky said Christmas Vacation and he's replacing Uncle Eddie. Or Cousin Eddie, not Uncle Eddie, but Cousin Eddie.
That's a good answer.
That's a good one. I
That's
really
a good
like
answer.
that one. That one got a few likes. Another one was Forrest Gump replacing Forrest Gump. I don't know.
Ooh.
It doesn't really do much for me, but I could see how it would.
I would rather him replace Forrest Jr. when he shows up at the end and Ginny is like, look at my boy over here, and he's just sitting there watching this cartoon.
Or what
And
if
he's
it's
like clapping.
What if it's like he's just a cameo,
his
like
daddy
he's
Forrest.
like Elvis, like I learned how to murder people one summer or something like that. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get to some of my favorite ones. This one said Art or Terrifier 4 could just be Art in the Chocolate Factory, because I think we talked about him replacing. And I responded with Art is all the Oompa Loompas, which I said in the show, but I don't know if we talked about that. And then this one is Titanic, and he is replacing Rose. That's the last one.
I thought they were going to do Titanic and Art replaces the iceberg.
I think if he's doing Titanic,
There's two guys in the crow's nest, like start ringing the bell, getting really scared.
Those are some of our favorite comments from this past week or these past 2 weeks. Really love it. Keep it coming. We'll try to have more questions like that so you guys can give some more creative answers. I think we had one that I just posted, but stay tuned. We'll have some more. But that was all the comments, all the fan comments. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, are you guys excited? The John Wick 10th anniversary is this month. I think it was recently. So the first John Wick came out.
Am I excited for it?
I think. Well, I don't know.
Am I looking forward to it? Do I have any plans?
Yeah, you guys gonna watch it? I don't know if you guys have watched that recently. I got this weird way of like trying to defend John Wick. I don't know why, but when people tell me it has no story, which I guess it
He doesn't need
really,
you to defend him.
I know, but people say like, oh, it doesn't really have a story, like, but it's fun to watch. It's like really action packed and stuff. I'm like, it kind of does. It kind of does have a story, but I don't know.
The plot is incredibly simple. I will say
simple,
that
but it's a story.
Man's
The first
dog.
one is simple. The first one is simple.
They get pretty
By
complicated.
but 3 and 4 is just like, okay, calm down.
The third one's
it's
a
like
lot.
you do not need all this.
Second
lore.
one's still fine.
I remember. I think
Second one's my favorite.
we all went to see the fourth in IMAX, and I remember it starts with him punching
long.
like this wooden board. But I remember my ears. And first of all, Zach made us drive 45 minutes. I remember Corey and I got in the car after, and we go, I'm never driving that far for a movie again, because it was the Ronnies where we saw Barbenheimer.
Well, okay. Let me just point this out. If you guys don't want to see a movie in IMAX, you can feel fucking free to say no. You can just go see it at AMC 12, and you can walk in there. None of the 2 of the 3 icy colors will not be working.
No, slander.
St. Marcus
yes.
Warenberg, bro. This is AMC.
You go right ahead.
AMC.
I don't mind taking a few extra miles to see that IMAX. It's almost even more important for the sound than the actual image being bigger. The sound in IMAX is incredible.
I just don't know if it makes that much of a difference for me.
I mean, it did for Oppenheimer when you could literally.
And that's why you lost the box office predictions for the month. You just don't know. You just don't know ball.
I don't know ball.
It's all indicative of the same problem.
So yeah, John Wick's 10th anniversary was recently, so that's exciting. I guess we might cover that sometime. I don't know. They say they're coming out with a show, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. That gets back to our other
They
conversation.
already did that.
What? They came
They
out with a
have
show.
John Wick show called The Continental.
Oh, that's right.
There's a
that's
show
right.
called The Continental.
No, I thought it was like, but that one's a prequel. I thought there was supposed to be a sequel show.
Is it?
I thought that's what they were talking about after the. Anyway,
We can't start talking about what that could be without spoiling stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to, because we might actually talk about the John Wick movies. That might be all one episode though, or at least 1, 2,
Maybe.
3, 4. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a little peek behind the curtain, and then
maybe 5, maybe 6.
And then Peaky Blinders movie, The First Looks. I don't know if you guys have seen Peaky Blinders. I love Peaky Blinders.
I'm gonna watch it before the movie.
You are? Okay, good. I will say
I don't like being left out on things, so I will catch up before that. It's always when I catch up on shows is right before it ends.
right before it ends, so you can be a part of the big cultural impact at the end of the show.
See, that's why Zach hasn't watched shows like The Sopranos yet, because he's like, it already ended. I wasn't in the zeitgeist at the time, so there's no point in like catching up on the zeitgeist.
Well, yeah, Cole, what is the point of catching up when you could just skip to the last season when it comes out and do it like that?
We can't get into that. That's too much. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, he shot first. He shot first. Cole shot first.
No, he did. He did.
I did.
You're justified. But I'm excited for this movie. I think it's going to be really good. I have read a little bit about it. I've heard a little bit about it. And the way the last 2 seasons went without giving anything away, it always felt like this one particular event was kind of looming. So I'm really hoping that's kind of what this movie is about, and they really wrap it all up. But it's really cool. It makes you feel like a man watching it. I'll tell you that. I might rewatch it. I'm getting hyped just listening to myself.
Just to feel like a man again.
Yeah, just to feel like a man. But yeah, I'm excited for those. I don't know if you guys know any other like franchise movies that are coming out or that are starting. I know there are some that are coming out with sequels like Moana and everything like that, but we don't need to get into that. Do you know of any?
This was something that really upset me that I saw on Twitter the other day. Giancarlo Esposito said he's going back to reshoot scenes of the new Captain America movie. Now, for people who have kept up on this movie has been reshot 4 or 5 times.
The one with Harrison Ford?
Yes.
It's being reshot?
He's
The
reshooting
reshoots, not the
scenes.
whole movie,
Yeah.
the whole movie. It's just reshoot. They're bringing in for reshoots, which
yes,
is
but-
very common with big movies like this.
I don't know if it's just me, but usually when
Zach-
that happens multiple times, isn't that a pretty bad sign?
That's very bad.
But yeah, I think that's all the big news about it. I don't think there's anything else. So yeah, without further ado, the call sheets.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
Guys, I went back to my roots. I have never been more proud of 5 questions in my life. These 5 questions really make me question if I'm in the right line of work.
All the other questions?
No, if I'm in the right, like maybe I should be doing this professionally. Maybe I should be on Family Feud. Maybe I should be on these game shows because these questions are something
Always
else.
been saying that.
So it's 4 questions and then a bonus question. And the bonus question, of course, is close to the pin. I do have one question. I'm going to see how this one goes, but there are 2 answers I'm looking for. One is for 1 point. The other one is for 3 points. Okay. And so the answers are harder. But we'll get into that. You'll see. Relax. It's okay.
We'll get into it.
Are you guys
We'll get
both
into it.
ready? You guys are going to be texting me your answers. Okay. It's going to be really good. I'm going to cut this together. It's going
let's
to
do
make a very good TikTok. Okay, perfect. Question number 1. Chris Pratt starred in one other movie in 2014 when Guardians of the Galaxy was released. This movie has a 3.8 on Letterboxd and a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. What movie was he in for 1 point? And for 3 points, what was the name of his character? Okay, I have an answer from Cole. Oh, I have an answer from Zach, and I have 2 answers from Zach. Cole, do you want to? You did not give a second answer. You gonna try, or you got nothing? I don't want to move on unless you got
nothing.
Okay, that's fine.
Nothing.
That's fine. Okay,
His
I have 2
name
answers.
was Andy Moneyball.
Andy Moneyball.
We'll save that for our Moneyball podcast. Anyway, question number 2.
Zach hates Moneyball.
I know. Question number 2. James Gunn loves working with his family. His brothers appeared in many of his movies. But what is his brother's character's name in Guardians of the Galaxy? What is James Gunn's brother's name
Light work.
in Guardians of the Galaxy? I have an answer from Zach. I have an answer from Cole. We are moving on. Sorry, I was just checking. Question number 3. Dave Bautista delivers a memorable performance in this movie, and he is beloved by fans for his portrayal of Drax. But as well as he did in this movie, and as much it is favored by fans, it is not his highest rated movie on Letterboxd. What is Dave Bautista's highest rated movie on Letterboxd? I have an answer from Zach. I have an answer from Cole. We're moving on. Both answers locked in. Here we go for question number 4. This is the last regular question. Then I'm going to add it up, see if we need the bonus question. Hey, everyone gets in trouble from time to time. Even the Guardians of the Galaxies commit crimes and go to prison. Hey, maybe they should consider running for president. Anyway, what's the name of the prison they escape from in this movie? I have an answer from Zach. I have an answer from Cole. Okay, I think, let me look this over.
Zach won. I flubbed the first one. I know it. I just know it.
Okay, we do have a winner, but we're going to go ahead and do the last bonus question just for fun, and then we're going to go over everything. Okay, you guys both ready? This is closest to the pin. I'm looking for a number here. Zoe Saldana is considered the queen of the box office and is the highest grossing actress of all time. What is her total box office number for all the movies she's been in? Not starred in, all the movies she's been in. There was an exact number I was able to find. Okay, I have an answer from Cole.
He's thinking.
He's adding in his head.
Zach's no math magician. He ain't got it.
Okay, I have an answer from Zach and Cole. We're going to go over these one by one. Question number 1. Chris Pratt starred in one other movie in 2014 when Guardians of the Galaxy was released. This movie had a 3.8 on Letterboxd and a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Zach, you got this answer correct. Cole, unfortunately, you did not. Zach, what was the answer to this question?
He was in the Lego Movie, and his character's name was Emmett.
That is correct. So that is 4 points, I guess. Yeah, sorry, Cole. That's 4 points because he got both correct. That is 4 points for Zach. None for Cole. A demanding lead. Anyway, question number 2. James Gunn loves working with his family, but his brother has appeared in many of his movies. But what is his brother's character's name in this movie? You guys both got this correct. Cole, what is the answer?
Kraglin.
That is correct. It is Kraglin. That is a point for each of you. Zach at 5, Cole at 1. Sorry, Cole. Dave Bautista delivers a memorable
This is
performance.
just like, I thought it was going to be 3 points. 3 points is an easy comeback. But
I know.
4,
I
mean,
but the way I wrote it, it did seem like it's 4 points because it's a point for each of them. So that's my bad. Sorry about it. Dave Bautista delivers a memorable
game. I'm sorry. I'm Zach.
Dave Bautista delivers a memorable performance in this movie and is beloved by fans for his portrayal of Drax. But as well as he did in this movie, and as much as this movie is favored by fans, it is not his highest rated movie on Letterboxd. What is Dave Bautista's highest rated movie on Letterboxd? Zach, you got this wrong. Cole, you got this right. Cole, what is the movie?
Dune Part 2?
It is Dune Part 2. Zach, what movie did you say?
Really? Blade Runner 2049.
I was gonna put that. I swear to God. I typed it out and then I'm like,
Blade Runner 2049 was number 3. Dune Part 1 was number 2.
Dune 1 has a higher letterbox than Blade Runner 2049.
You can double check it, but I know for a fact it's not neither one of those are number 1. It's Dune Part 2 is number 1. Anyway, here we go. Question number 4.
All 3 of those are pretty great, but
yeah, question number 4. Hey, everyone gets in trouble from time to time. Even the Guardians of the Galaxies commit crimes to go to prison. What was the prison they escaped from? You guys both got this correct. Zach, what was the answer?
The Kiln.
The Kiln. That is correct. Unfortunately, because Zach got all those points with the first question, Cole, you didn't really have a chance of coming back. I apologize. It should have just been 3 points, but the way I wrote it, it was not. Next time, it will be, and I'll add more questions with more points to get. I just couldn't think of any other ones. So congratulations, Zach. But let's get to the bonus really quick. Zoe Saldana is considered the queen of the box office and is the highest grossing actress of all time. What is her total box office of all movies she has been in? Zach, what answer?
I underguessed it, honestly.
What answer did you say?
You said 6.5 billion.
Yeah, you said about 6.5 billion. Cole, what did you say?
I said 10 billion.
Cole said 10
he's probably closer.
billion.
Yeah.
The answer is 15,471,516,995. Almost 15 and a half.
That was my second guess.
$billion at the box office. That is insane. She is the highest grossing actress of all time. Well deserved, but man, some of these she is. I should have looked up who the highest grossing actor of all time is, but I didn't even think to look it up. So anyway, that's
Samuel Jackson.
Is that true?
It's him, or it's got to be him, or like I don't know. Chris Pratt might be getting there, but probably not.
I mean, Chris Pratt does have
it's got to Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. or
I think it's Samuel Jackson because including
Samuel Jackson.
cameos and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all
movies.
Because
all the Marvel movies, 3 Star Wars movies.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah,
first Jurassic Park.
And I think he got like a voice credit for being in Rise of Skywalker too.
I'll have to check that out.
Snakes on a Plane.
Oh, big
Black
one.
Snake Moan. These are some blockbuster films here.
So congratulations, Zach. You have now won 2 games today, and I hate that. On to the action.
Even the opening scene, there's always some random girl who gets a call that undoubtedly ends up getting her killed. It's also predictable. There's no element of surprise. You can see everything coming.
Did that surprise you? Now shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
Go Blues.
Go Blues.
Okay, we ready for the summary?
Please.
In 1988, Peter Quill's mother dies. He then promptly runs outside and is abducted by aliens. 26 years later, Peter is a dashing Han Solo type on a job to steal an orb. Short version, Peter screws his buddy Yondu, who puts a bounty on his head, and he has a run-in with Ronan's men. Ronan is the villain, by the way, who wants to destroy Xandar. Not much else there. He sends Gamora to get the herb, with the objection of her sister Nebula. Peter is accosted by Gamora, Rocket, and Groot on Xandar, which leads all four to being arrested. They go to the prison, meet Drax the Destroyer, and all five escape. Meanwhile, Ronan is intimidated by Thanos. While trying to sell the orb to a high bidder, Drax calls Ronan and brings his army to our heroes. This leads to a chase where Gamora is almost killed by being left in space. To save her, Peter calls Yondu to pick them up. Ronan and Nebula betray Thanos. Again, not a lot there. After Peter convinces Yondu and gives a rousing speech to our heroes, they mount up to defend Xandar. After a third act brouhaha, where Groot dies, Peter stands against Ronan. He distracts Ronan long enough for Rocket to free what powers him. Our heroes then defeat him. This leads our guardians to ride off into the sunset.
Great summary. Do you mind... I have a place that I want to talk or like start with. And you kind of mentioned it there in the summary, Cole, but I really want to talk about Ronan.
Not much there.
You want to lead off with Ronan?
I just want to get it out of the way because it was so it was so boring. But when we were first introduced to Ronan, it was so much contrast between what we had seen so far in, I guess at that point we had just seen Peter, right? Before we saw Ronan?
So, yeah. And I mean, the way we meet Peter is relatively serious.
But then it gets
the dance sequence.
Right. And then it gets fun. It gets very colorful. There's a lot of stuff going on around him. And then we see Ronan and he's very serious. He talks about curing a planet of its people. He talks about all this, it's very, serious talk. It's not joking around. He's not very lighthearted. It's very dark. There's a very stark contrast between the Guardians of the Galaxy in general, but like at this point we just met Peter and Ronan. And so I think that's a very good way of starting out your villain. But I mean, they started out like at a pretty good point, I think, and it just went downhill. Like there was nothing to grab onto. He doesn't fight cool. He never says anything that cool. And he's just not someone that you can even like, you're not excited to watch. You know, like with Thanos, I was going to say you don't side with Thanos, but you're interested to see what he was going to do. And that's kind of hard to measure up against Thanos, but like that's the other villain in this movie. But it's just, you're not excited. I wasn't excited to watch him.
Well, I do have to agree because the first moment we are introduced to him, it's like this weird ritualistic thing that's going on that we are to believe is ancient Kree. Give me 20 more minutes about that. I'd rather learn about that than anything he's got going on because like you said, he's not intimidating. He's not cool. In the 5 seconds we see Thanos, he drops one of the hardest lines, which is "Fail me again, and I will bathe the starways in your blood." Which,
I like that.
Incredibly intimidating, more intimidating than anything that Ronan has done. So, I'm very curious what kind of got lost because the character seems very thinly written. which if you've watched the rest of these movies, I think all of their villains are peak MCU, personally.
Yeah, this is definitely the weakest villain of the three, for sure. I don't know what happened either. I wrote down that he looks he seems whiny and boring. That's what I wrote down, especially when he's talking to Thanos.
I mean, Thanos literally says, "Your politics bore me." Like, he says that. It's just like, I'm watching it like, yeah, I agree. Yeah. So like,
Same page.
Speaking my language. The best scene is the one with Thanos, because it's like, oh, Thanos is there, and that's just immediately a far more intimidating presence in the movie, even though he's not the
sitting in a chair. It's not like he's doing anything. He turns around. That's
and then he
it.
smiles at him as he's floating away. It's a really good smile that Thanos has.
Thanos is a killer smile, bro.
No, Cole, you said like, I wonder what got lost here, and I don't even think it's like something. I don't think like, oh, this character was supposed to be something else, and they had to cut it down. Like, I just genuinely believe that he is a device. He's less of a character and more of just a device in the script, in the story. I mean, because obviously all the time is spent with the Guardians, and I think part of it is, I doubt James Gunn. I'm not exactly sure how this movie got made, but I doubt James Gunn came to Marvel and said, "Hey, I have a great idea to have Thanos and Ronan as his villains with these characters of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that'll be this first movie." It probably was something like they approached him, or vice versa, with Guardians of the Galaxy, and you just start there. And then once that got agreed to, it was like, Marvel was probably like, by the way, we're going to really need you to introduce Thanos and Infinity Stones. Like, I doubt it was, oh, I want to do an Infinity Stone story. It was like, no, we got to start laying this concept out here and build up to what we want to get to in a few years.
Well, they had just really introduced it with Thor: The Dark World. That was kind of the second Infinity Stone.
It is, but I don't remember. Were they referring to it as a stone in that? So was it an Infinity Stone in that? Or did we find out later that that's where it came from?
I think it's mentioned, and then Tavon says, like, 1 down, 5 to go in the Dark World post-credit scene.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I guess they probably started with it there. They knew what they were doing with it there, too.
I thought they did.
And the Tesseract
reference
itself is a stone.
Yeah, I thought they did reference it as a stone, like either Thor or one of like the Asgardians did initially. I thought they said something like a one-off line, like
by Ray Stevenson.
There you go.
We can't have 2 Infinity Stones within close proximity.
Something like that.
Something of that.
Yeah, I thought there was a one-off line, but yeah, it wasn't anything like memorable. Like, this is the first big one where it's like, okay, that's what these are.
Yeah, and we're explaining what they are. So long story short, Ronan is a
device,
a symptom of that being the antagonist threat that you're setting up here, and you just connect it with lending out Gamora and Nebula to Ronan. He's just he is a juxtaposition in the sense that he has very little personality. He's and like you said, like, even though he doesn't have to like have a sense of humor or even a tragic backstory, even though he says like, oh, my father was killed, blah blah blah. He doesn't even like. But even beyond that, he doesn't even like fight cool. Like, there's no like cool
like there being
like action scene with him.
The way he fights Drax, it's more
very
about
boring
showcasing. Well, it's showcasing Dave Bautista's physicality, former wrestler, which very unique way to do that. But at the same time, he's just smacking him around. He gets hit in the chest by the AIDS Rod Enforcer. I mean, he
moves very.
I don't
static.
think
It's very like. It's like he's got all these muscles and it's hard to move.
He's very static too.
He's
got yell or not yell are his 2 line deliveries.
He's always like swinging his shoulders,
Yeah.
I also don't think he got much more interesting in Captain Marvel either. It's not like they did much with him there either to make him more interesting.
Zach, I'll agree that I think he is a device, and I see what that definitely fits the narrative here. But I don't think that's an excuse for him not like looking that cool, being that physically.
He looks cool.
Well, like visually appealing in a way. Like he's very dark, and it doesn't really draw your eye at all because he's surrounded by darkness. at all times as well, and like the way he moves. Like I feel like all that stuff. I feel like everyone else in this movie has a very unique way of fighting, a unique way of moving, a unique way of talking. Like they're all very expressive in their own ways, and it's very lost in the villain. And so like even Nebula like has her own way. Like it's not fully fleshed out here. Like I think that in the second one it really gets more fleshed out with her. But like why couldn't you have something even a little bit better with him? I thought that's where like my rating, I was going back and forth between two mainly because of him. I don't think there's any huge big holes besides Ronan. And that's kind of why I wanted to start with him.
Yeah. And that honestly leads me into one of my favorite parts of this movie, which is our heroes and genuinely every other character in this movie. Because
every other character,
Ronan, yeah. There's 50 feet of crap.
Then there's 50 feet of crap.
Ronan.
Then there's you. Then there's whale poop.
And then,
sorry.
Oh, are you doing the bit from Shark Tales?
I was. Continue.
Yeah, great bit. Marty Scorsese saying that to Will Smith is great. But I mean, you get all the lines from Rocket that get referenced in 3. You get, you know, moments from Peter where he has like these sweet moments, but he's also a bit of a scoundrel like Han Solo, but he's an immature version of the character. You get Gamora, who is just biding her time. You get Drax, who, you know, is on his own mission, who ends up becoming the comic relief and overall a very silly character. But the way we are introduced to him is incredibly intimidating. And then also Groot, who I think, you know, it is very hard to portray a one-dimensional character who speaks 3 words a lot, you know, but I think it's incredibly well done.
Zach, did you have anything for that?
No, I mean, he's right. I mean, I like the heroes a lot. I think Chris Pratt as Peter Quill Star-Lord is very appealing because he's just like a dude. You know, that's
just a dude.
It's just a dude out there. He feels like you know him, you know. And he's not a
That's true.
He's sloppy, but it's a good mix of being very sloppy while also being very capable at the same time, which is fun to watch. And his little references to like Earth things,
John Stamos,
I like it a lot. But at the same time, he'll be saying it to like people who have no idea what he's talking about. So it's like, what idea you're conveying an idea that only you understand what you're saying, but yet you're asking it in the form of a question, like you want them to answer. It's, you know, and he's just like, this orb has a Maltese Falcon Ark of the Covenant sort of vibe. He's like, that you said that to Gamora, and you've given her no information, and you know that, and you're just. So, like, I don't understand lines like that, but it doesn't bother me really that much. It's just a character quirk.
They seem to understand because he also says something
on it through the movies.
Yeah, he also said something like, "Oh, you had a blacklight in this place, and it would light up like a Jackson Pollock painting." To
that's another one.
To
yeah.
Rocket, and Rocket's
and I know Rocket responds.
Rocket understands. He's like, "You got issues." Of course,
it is really good. I do think. And honestly, we could talk more about this with 2 and 3. Gamora, the matching of Gamora, super serious warrior alien, and
Assassin.
You know, just
trained from birth,
doofus boy over here from Missouri. You know,
he's not from Earth, Zach. He's from Missouri.
Don't reference other movies.
I don't know if they made that clear in this one. They definitely do that in the next one, but. Yeah, I like their pairing here, and I'm glad that they don't full send and make them a couple in this movie, because that would be quick, and I wouldn't believe that. I wouldn't buy it. The reason why that relationship works is because they take their time with it through these movies.
Well, yeah, and he, I that line where she goes, I am not some starry-eyed wave here to become to your pelvic sorcery, and he just goes, "That is not what's happening here."
She was thinking about it. It was he was on top of his game during that scene. He was doing really well.
He had fooled around and fell in love, like just oh god.
That brings me to a question. I have a question for you guys. Like that scene, it really hits, and you can feel the emotions because of the song. And I think that's true for a lot of scenes in this movie because of the soundtrack that it uses. You kind of have this feeling that you're using from other experiences. You know, you're kind of remembering what that song was, or knowing how it made you feel outside the movie, and it's kind of connecting you a little bit more to the movie. South Park coined the term "member berries," and I want to ask you if this movie relies on member berries a lot.
I don't think it does.
When you say that, okay, go ahead.
Because I don't know a lot of these songs. So James Gunn has done this thing with a lot of his movies. He picks out songs that like basically fell off. Though Dirty Work is an example, he used it in the Suicide Squad trailer and it jumped to the top of the charts. He uses this songs that he loves that were from his childhood. He did it with Peacemaker with all those hair bands. So I don't think it's about us remembering them. I mean, I watched this movie with my dad and he remembered all those songs. These are about what Peter feels when he listens to them. It's not about what we're supposed to feel when we listen to him. He even mentions that he can't even bring himself to say it, which I love Chris Pratt in that moment because he goes from like vulnerable to suave. He goes, my mom, she made this for me before she... You don't do anything. You listen to it. And then he puts the headphones on Gamora, and it's the very cute scene. But, yeah.
I think that's a good point, Cole, because for a second there, I thought you were pretty much just saying, like, oh, my dad remembers it, so that's why it's good. I was like, well, that is member berries. But, like, it's... No. You eventually landed on what it really is. It is him holding on to, like, that last gift from his mom and how he remembers his mom. And which is why he's so adamant about, you know, even though he knows he's not going to get it back right now, and he's probably going to get like beat up and tased when he's like, you give me that song back, like that song belongs to me.
Blue Swede, 1973.
So that scene, and while it makes it a fun watch of a movie with all these songs, that I wouldn't necessarily say they've all fallen off, because I mean I knew over half of these songs, you know. As
you get deeper in the movies, then they start becoming more niche. But like the first one, it's like Ain't No Mountain High Enough, like Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
That's a pretty big song.
Like it's not these like
maybe what is I Want You Back at the end.
Yeah, it's not these like super niche songs that no one's heard of.
You got Bowie.
David Moon Age Daydream is a big one. Love that song. Yeah. Either way, the point though is and this is also, there are obviously movies with stacked soundtracks before this, but this, at least with like big blockbuster superhero movies, comic book movies specifically, but also just blockbuster movies in general, I feel like it didn't feel like they were like copying another formula with this one. Like this was a fresh MCU approach. Like other MCU movies weren't doing this yet.
So would this movie have been as big if it did not have these songs? If it still had the songs that portrayed the same feelings, like Fooled Around and Fell in Love, like you could still find a song that makes people feel that way, or it portrays that feeling. Like you get what the song's trying to do, but it doesn't have the same recognition. Is this movie just as big? Because from what you're saying, it sounds like almost.
I'm going to say no.
It would not have been.
I agree with Zach. If you don't have Hooked on a Feeling alone, I remember watching the first trailer for this movie, and it's like the introduction in prison and Hooked on the Feelings playing, and you have all those action shots behind the ooga chaka, ooga ooga. I can watch that now, and that still gives me chills.
Was that this trailer with the Hooked on a Feeling, or was that
I think it was like all
Guardians 2 had the slow down version of it?
Yeah, I think
so. Guardians 2 had a slowed down, but their main trailer one was Fox on the Run. That was their big one.
Well,
which
okay,
doesn't
but
even appear in the movie. But
I remember. So let's say what are we coming off of here? MCU. The phase one was Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor.
This
I
was
think
this
we're
was
coming
this was
off
Winter Soldier.
This is coming
Soldier.
off Winter Soldier because Winter Soldier was April. This was like July.
Yeah, this was Winter Soldier.
Yeah, so these movies, and then there's Iron Man 3, Dark World, Winter Soldier. These movies had humor in them, especially like Iron Man stuff. Like they have doses of humor, but I'd say this is the first one that honestly feels more like a comedy more than anything else. And I think the dance scene at the beginning with this, it felt like you're watching a more fun type of movie. You can have fun in these other movies, but they're, you know what I mean? Like this felt like it was made to make you have fun.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like this movie feels like it's trying to have a good time.
It comes off to really a really jarring scene. This kid's mom dies. He runs out of the hospital. Cut 26 years later, he's on this planet that's completely been decimated by I don't know what, but I don't need to know because it looks really cool. And then he gets in, puts on the Walkman, and then starts dancing. I mean,
the huge title card of Guardians of the Galaxy there when it just pops up there.
That's
like
so
I
good.
remember. I mean, the trailer for this movie, this was like the first Marvel MCU property that I had not heard of in the MCU. Like I had never heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy when like the trailer for this dropped. Like I had heard of, it's hard to remember before 2008 with Iron Man because I was 8 years old. But you have Iron Man, but I had heard of Thor. I had heard of
you have these big
Captain
characters.
America, and I had definitely heard of the Hulk. I had definitely heard of that. And then, even outside the MCU, I knew about X-Men and all that stuff and Spider-Man because, animated shows. Right. I had never heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. This was completely, so it's like you get this trailer and it looks weird. There's a talking tree and stuff. And yeah, you got hooked on the feeling playing, I guess. And I mean, it's not like I was like, oh, I'm not going to see that. But you don't know what to expect. You go in with no expectations.
This was predicted to be Marvel's first bomb. Because nobody knew what it was.
And then that, like I was saying, that giant, the dance scene starts and that giant Guardians of the Galaxy thing pops up, like the title, like taking over the whole frame. I really do remember in that moment being like, okay, I'm really into whatever this is. Like
really
this. So
this.
That was, it felt new, it felt fresh. And then even just to, I'm not actually like talking about another movie here, but like, well, I mean, I guess I am a little bit, but in Infinity War, when they go back to this moment and like, you don't know exactly, that they had to go back to Morag to get the stone in an Endgame. Yeah. I'm sorry. In Endgame. And you just hear the beginning of the song before you even see the planet.
And it's like, the shot. It's got the shot.
And you know exactly where we're going. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, we know exactly where we're going here. If that music just started, and because it brings you back to this moment in the scene, and like, it really did like embody, like it was like the signaling, like, oh yeah, this is a whole new type of MCU right here.
But it is, but it's also the emotional stuff is so well done too, because we have this very like happy movie, but all these characters are like going through, for lack of a better word, their own shit throughout the entire movie. And it's not played for laughs when they're going through it. And that's something the MCU usually does during like an awkward moment. Let's have a quip. But there's that moment where Rocket's like, she called me vermin, he called me rodent. And then he goes, I didn't ask to get made. Let's see how much you're laughing when I put 5 or 6 good shots to your frickin' face. Like, that's not played for laughs. It's good.
I was gonna say, I think it was kind of played for laughs. Like, I understand what, like, I didn't ask to get made. Like, that line hits a little bit differently knowing what we know now. But, like, in the moment, I think, I didn't ask to get made. Let me see what happens if I shoot you in the face. That part, let me shoot you in the face, is kind of played for laughs. And I think they don't really shy away from doing a quip here or like something to ease the tension. Like the meeting with Nova Prime and whoever it was, and he goes, "That sounds like your business," and then he closes out the meeting and she says, "Prick," like just like under her breath really quick. Like that's played for laughs too, and it's meant to.
That guy made me mad.
Yeah, and
he's being unreasonable.
Right. And like so I don't think they shy away from that necessarily in this movie, and I understand what you mean where there's definitely a lot of emotion, but I think that's more judging it based off today's Marvel and the stuff that we've gotten, because it's like every few lines there's a joke that's trying to be made here or something that's trying to cut the tension, and this one is just like a decent amount, a reasonable amount here. And so I think we're looking back with that kind of jadedness, and so I think that might be skewing our.
This movie is just very funny, though. I mean, you're right, Cole. The emotional scenes are mostly kept earnest and sincere, and I think that does work. And I think Peter losing his mom at the beginning, then to the full circle to the take my hand moment at the end, when this group comes together to share this burden with him when he's holding the Infinity Stone. That all is very satisfying and it works. At the end of the day, the main appeal, or at least I don't want to say the main appeal, but like what made this movie stand out is that you had that stuff, but it also was very funny. This was to this point the funniest MCU movie. And I think
this green whore, she is my friend.
Yeah, like all this stuff. Like I
remember
just dying during. I really do remember thinking it was so funny the first time I watched that whole prison break sequence with just. And that movie is that is when it's at its best. I think the peak of the movie is from them fighting on Xandar when she initially tries to take the orb from Peter up through the prison break. That's like the peak sequence of the movie. I think
probably
all the literal jokes with Drax, like that's like the nothing goes over my head stuff, like that was so funny to me.
Man who has lain with an Oscar-varian.
That was a good line too. It was one time.
I always remember that. Oddly enough, I remembered that wrong in my head for the longest time. I thought he said that. I guess I had it back, or not backwards, but just I was combining two different scenes into one, and I think it would have been funnier the way I have it in my head. Is when I remembered him saying it when Peter, they're like, "Well, where is he?" And then he comes out with a Pina Colada song playing, and he's flying out there with the orb, and then Drax goes, "Behold," and then like I remembered him saying, "Behold, the man who has lain with an Oscar-varian," or whatever. And I think that would have been a good time to say it. But
that would have been a good one. But I love that line too when he crawls into the ship and he's like, "You will make a fine like ally in the fight against Ronan." "What did you retrieve?" He hands him the Walkman. "You're an imbecile."
I wonder what he thought it was going to be.
Such a good line.
Because that's such a good delivery, and he's doing so good. But like, I wonder what he would have thought it would have been. Like, what would have been so good that he had to go back and get it? I just would have loved to see
another orb,
another big powerful
2 orbs.
But, yeah,
2 orbs.
Since we're talking about the prison scene, how hard do you think it is to get that physique of Chris Pratt? Can't be that hard, right? We could probably do that, right? Can we do that?
So you guys know the story behind that, right?
No. Why would I know the story behind
his physique?
He was in like Andy Dwyer shape originally when he auditioned, and James Gunn made the joke. He goes, "I will CGI your body. I do not care. Like, you can come back looking like this. I will CGI your body." Chris Pratt said, "Give me 6 months."
That would have looked
It is
really
really funny when he's like jacked out of nowhere in Parks and Rec, like in like season 7 or 6 or whatever.
What does he say to justify
like, "I stopped drinking beer."
Oh yeah,
he stopped drinking beer.
He's like, "I lost 50 pounds. I stopped drinking beer." That is so bad.
Not gonna be me.
Oh my gosh. Let me see. Another thing that really stood out to me in this movie that I really liked was just all the small moments we got, like from you were kind of talking about a Cole where like Groot doesn't get like a lot to do and he can't really say a lot, so it's hard for him to like portray who he is as a character. But the small moments where he's like
gives the girl the flower,
he grows the flower, he gives it to the little girl.
I do like that.
I love that stuff, and it works really well. But you see like the woman crying in prison with a message from her family, like these small one-offs that you just get while you're passing through, just trying to focus on these other 5 characters story. Like it really just builds this world out. And I think that's a really big testament to what James Gunn did here, because you have these very creative, but also very like, if you see a picture of this character, you can kind of tell it's from Guardians of the Galaxy because it has a certain look, just kind of like how you look at someone and you can tell like, oh, that's a Star Wars character. Like Guardians of the Galaxy kind of has the exact same. I don't even know what that would be. Is there a word for that? Just like style, but I feel like that's too simple.
The word design,
maybe
aesthetic.
Yeah, aesthetic design, something like that. Style seems too simple, but it like you can tell just by glancing at it. Like you see the guy with the robot eye, and you see all that detail coming out of it. Like I just really love that stuff. Or the whatever game that they're playing in the casino with the Orlonis, like. All that stuff, like it's so distinct, and it's so distinct to this movie, and I think that's a huge testament to it, because I think that just carries over from movie to movie, and it just grows with each one. The third one, maybe, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
I like the concept. I mean, I know James Gunn probably didn't come up with this, but I didn't do research on it to know for sure. I'm sure Nowhere is probably a concept in comics. I love the idea that Nowhere is just a floating
celestial head.
Of a dead celestial. That's pretty cool. So I'm into weird space stuff like that. But that's also after the whole collector sequence, or I should say specifically after, like, yeah, I guess during that spaceship fight in Nowhere and then into the final climax, the action of the movie, I'd say that's kind of one of the weaker parts of the movie, weaker aspects of the movies. I do think the action scenes just kind of fall into the class, especially in that last act, just fall into like classic comic, like just gobbledygook. Like what is actually happening here? You know, like a lot is happening, but is anything happening? You know, like when you're really watching it, you know, you have these
Peter
individual face-offs with
from our other franchise showed up. Darth Maul.
Yeah,
the voice of Darth Maul.
Who?
I thought you were referring to Shaun of the Dead, where he is the roommate in Shaun of the Dead. But,
oh shit! Yeah, he is in it.
Oh yes.
Hold on, Sal.
Go watch our Shaun of the Dead episode.
Yeah.
Shout out. Listen to her.
That's
Oh, listen. Sorry.
Try to see. Do you want to have anything else?
I think we kind of get through all my notes.
I did want to say. I mean, we talked about it, but this is probably some of the sharpest dialogue in the MCU because there's a lot left unsaid. There's like Peter getting kicked out of the broker, and he goes, "Hey, we had a deal, bro." And then he looks at Gamora, who's trying to trick him, and he goes, "One thing I hate is a man without integrity." Peter quote, "People call me Star-Lord."
Such a good delivery. I loved that line.
Such a great line.
I loved that line.
Integrity, people quill. Going right into it. People quill.
Peter quote, "People call me Star-Lord." And I think
the bearings of a man of honor.
Well, you know. And then Rocket, learn genders, man. Put him in the bag. Put him in the bag. That's.
I like the.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I forgot you were here.
I think that's it.
I had one other. I was going to say.
Oh yes.
I thought the group sleep system at prison was very funny. The fact that apparently they all have to sleep together in one big pile.
But it wasn't like insane. Always true, because it seemed like Gamora got her own room, and some people, like that guy with the guy with the fake leg, he had his own room. He was like sitting on his cot when Quill came up. But like
Groot must have had one because they said return to your cell.
I'm ready to move on if you guys are.
Apparently they're straight off course, and we're fairly certain they're in guerrilla hands.
So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Who goes first?
My MVP
There you go. Yeah.
of Guardians of the Galaxy is Chris Pratt. I think Star-Lord is just such an easy character to root for. I enjoy him because you feel like you can relate to him. You know, he likes the music you like, but he's still...
He's an everyman. He's everyman.
He is an everyman, Cole. That is well said. You know, you said earlier that he's like Han Solo in this, but it's like
more
it's if Han
childish.
Yeah, because he got taken when he was a child, so it makes sense. So I think his performance is really good here, but also it's like Han Solo if he also like had the same music taste as you, you know, and knows all these 80s and 70s movie references. Yeah, he's got references. If Han Solo liked a good bit, you know. So that's I think Chris Pratt embodies that, and also he, like you were bringing up earlier, Cole, he does have that emotional baggage with him that he carries with him underneath the jokes, and it's a fun character, easy guy to root for, I think, in my opinion. So he's my, I guess it's implied with me saying he's the MVP. I guess he is the reason why this movie thrives, I think.
Good pick. You cannot pick him anymore through this trilogy.
That's why I wanted to pick him for this one, because I have other picks for the other movies.
That's why I was picking for this one, because I have Cole.
So I'm going to pick Sarah Haley Finn. She is the casting director for the MCU, but I would like to pick
It's
her.
the first casting director pick that we've ever had on this show.
Well, Zach, if you look at some of the actors she turned down for this movie to pick the actors we got, because these characters are so specific with the actors we have. She turned down, Glenn Howerton.
That's exactly what I forgot to bring up.
Second choice to play Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill. Don't know how that would work. Chadwick auditioned for Drax. So did Jason Momoa. They picked Batista. Amanda Seyfried was offered the role of Gamora, and Lupita Nyong'o auditioned for it.
Who was offered the role?
I think Amanda Seyfried.
What's she in?
Seyfried. She was in Mank. She was in Mean Girls.
Oh, dude, Mean Girls. Mean Girls is what you should lead off with him.
Who is she in Mean Girls?
Yeah, she's Karen in Mean Girls. She's
Karen.
She's the one who can feel it raining with her breast.
She was offered
really dumb one.
She was offered Gamora.
Yeah, but she turned. The story is she turned it down because she didn't want to do all the makeup.
Very interesting.
But I think I bring up Sarah Haley Finn because I think we got the best of anything they had to offer. You know, I think these characters and these actors are synonymous with these roles, and I personally could not see different actors playing them.
If you had to pick someone else to voice Rocket, who would it be? If you had to pick anyone else to voice Rocket?
Oh, give me a second. Oh my gosh, give me a second. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Give me a second. You have one? Go ahead. You gotta think.
No, I don't. No, I just came up with her just now.
Oh my gosh.
Who is it?
No.
Who would I pick?
I mean, if you can, tell me, but I can't.
Adam Sandler.
No.
Okay, I actually do have an answer, but it's kind of meta almost though.
Wait.
Okay.
Can I go really quick?
Yeah.
You go right now, yeah.
Yeah, okay. The only reason I thought of this because we already talked about Glenn Howerton, but Charlie Day, maybe? That'd be an interesting voice.
Let's see.
I think you would do a good
high
job.
high voice, flustered ass Rocket.
Yeah. I think it would
It's also a different character.
work. It's a different character, but I think it would work. Okay, go ahead, Zach.
Well, he's in the series later as someone else, obviously, but maybe Kurt Russell. I like the idea of a very boisterous Kurt Russell voicing a technologically advanced raccoon.
Okay. My MVP, for Guardians of the Galaxy is James Gunn. James Gunn, as I talked about throughout this, it just really left his mark on this, and I think really made a unique style, unique design, just a unique aesthetic to this movie that just transcends not only this movie, but like even when we're initially thrown into the Guardians of the Galaxy in Infinity War, you can tell right away. Like it's not only the music, it's not only like the typeface that they use to say where they are. It's the camera work. It's the design of space. It's the way space looks. It's the way the characters look. Like the movie changes a little bit once they're introduced, it feels like. So I not to talk about Infinity War too much, but I think he is very, very responsible for that. And just the way the story was written worked really well for me. And I think he is start and beginning of all the credit that is due. There are some people in the middle, but he starts and gets the last of it. So James Gunn is my MVP for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Fun fact, this was the only film in the trilogy he had a co-writer on.
The review section
says that they insist on outside opinions.
What kind of opinions?
Well, your kind, not to put too fine a point on it. I mean, let's face it, in your particular field, you're the top minds.
Cole, why don't you go first?
We are a movie franchise podcast. 4.65 out of 5.
Clip that off. Clip that off, Zach.
You're the clip off guy. What are you talking about? You're clip off boy.
Clip that off. I'm gonna clip that off.
Got that. Corey, let's have you go next.
A world with criminal raccoons and beams of color causing damage somehow completely makes sense and is done so well, from the tiny details that you could blink and miss to the iconic soundtrack. 4 out of 5.
Look at that. He upped his review from his Letterboxd score that he gave when he watched it earlier.
Well, that's what I told you in the beginning. Like, I was kind of going back and forth, but looking back on it, like, I don't think Ronin has as big of an impact after I let it sit as he did when I initially watched it. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. But out of the movie, I'm like, this is 3.5. Ronin was stupid.
Zach?
Yeah, I didn't write mine down, but I got it. Because I wanted to do a different one later, but then I was like, I couldn't come up with it. All right. One way I've heard this movie described is Star Wars, but funny. And I like funny, and I really, really like Star Wars. So 4 out of 5.
Boo. Awesome.
Boo.
What was the boo about that?
I don't know.
He stole that from his own Letterboxd review. That's not original.
The post-credit scene.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.
Next we are doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 that is streaming on Disney Plus. This one's streaming on Disney Plus. The third one's streaming on Disney Plus, and the holiday special is streaming on Disney Plus. So take a look at all of them. We're getting closer to Christmas, so maybe by the time the third one comes out, we're going to be in the December? I believe so. Yeah, time the third episode of this comes out. Yeah, we're going to be in December, so it's going to be right around the time for the holiday special. So check them all out on Disney Plus, and stay tuned for our next episode. We're going to be talking about that. Cole, did you watch anything inspiring?
Of course, I've been watching The Penguin, like the rest of the chat, but I watched Mr. McMahon. It's a documentary series about Vince McMahon, who's the head of WWE.
On Netflix,
the stories that go, yeah, and it's the stories that go into like all the drama behind that, which I think, while I don't think the stories are interesting, I think the drama behind everything and the real people and their stories are very interesting. So I would recommend, if you're a fan of wrestling, or if you just want a good docu-series to watch, I wouldn't say it's fun because it's very dark, but it is good.
Okay. Zach, you watching anything recently that's gotten you inspired?
Zach, you watched V for Vendetta yesterday?
I did not. No, I can't watch that every year, but I'll watch it next year maybe. But I do like V for Vendetta a lot. Yeah. I have been watching Penguin, obviously, but I'll save my thoughts for after I have a whole season to reflect on. I watched the 2011 The Thing, which is a prequel to the John Carpenter
with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Joel Edgerton.
Yes, that would be the one. wouldn't really recommend it.
The original's so good.
I think it really is. This movie it was a bad idea to do this. It feels very unnecessary because it's about the camp that they, like the Norwegian camp that they find, like after, like 30 minutes in to the John Carpenter thing, and they see that, shit clearly went down here, and it's like, oh, come see how it went down. And it's like, well, we already know what happens to. It's whatever. They find interesting ways to kind of subvert your expectation a little bit at the end of what happens to certain characters, but it's still. It just didn't do any. It wasn't enough for me. It really didn't do much. Didn't really do anything well. Put it this way, it was never awful, but it never really did anything great. So I just can't. I don't see myself revisiting it.
I'm sorry, bud.
Okay.
It made me want to watch the original a lot. It did a really good job making me want to throw that one on right after.
When you posted it, I was like, you know what? I should watch The Thing. It hasn't been. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
So it had the same effect on me, and I didn't even watch it. So that's cool.
We're talking next week with Kurt Russell. We'll talk about it more in Guardians 2.
Yeah, he's actually going to be on next week, so that's exciting. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, got him.
Yep.
He's
on.
That's a big get.
Yep, he's coming on. He's coming on. Yeah, so that'll be exciting. The things I watched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind today. It's always good.
Ooh, Jim Carrey.
Yeah, it's so good. I haven't boxed
Are you
it
okay?
yet. What?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Part of me wanted to watch The Truman Show, but then I looked up Jim Carrey, and that was the first one that popped up, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll watch that. So I'm probably going to watch The Truman Show later. Probably coming up soon. So I watched that.
Truman Show's always good.
That's good. Recommend that one. That one's on Netflix. Watch it while it's still there. And then I watched Agatha All Along. I'll tell you.
Okay. Yeah.
It continued a lot of the things that I liked about WandaVision. It did its own thing with a lot of ways, which I liked as well. And it had a really good twist at the end that I did not see coming. I don't know if I'd recommend it. I don't know if I need another season. I think we're going to get another season, and I think the next season's going to be objectively bad. The way they ended it, it seems... Here's why. They ended it, they got to a point where it's like, oh my gosh, you could honestly just tie this story off with a bow and not even have to worry about it. Like you can have like branch offs, you can have characters in other projects, but you can honestly just tie this off with a bow, let it be what it is, be a good project. And not necessarily great, but like they've kind of been floundering. So maybe having just good and building up off of that is a good way of going about that. But no, I think the next season's going to be objectively bad. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but that's what I think. Overall, I don't know if I necessarily will recommend it because I think there is going to be a season 2, but I don't think it really added anything. And there were a lot of questions left unanswered that didn't feel like, oh, maybe that's what they're going to tackle next. It felt like we're just not going to answer that. So that where it lost. I think I gave it like 3 stars, maybe 3.5, but I think it's going to be closer to 3. And the more it sits with me, the less I like it a little bit because it's getting a second season. Mainly because it's getting a second season and that it's not sitting well with me. So I think if I were to re-rate it, it'd be closer to 3, maybe 2.5. So, but it's not any worse than that. It's definitely a 2.5 at the very least. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. If you guys have been watching anything, leave it in the comments, leave it in the reviews. We've gotten some 5-star reviews. I don't know if there were any in there. Zach, do you know if there are any in there that you could read? I would like to read some off, but we don't have anything. I know we have some.
I don't know if anyone's ever written something.
They just rate it. If you guys write a 5-star review, we will read it off. We'll say your name and we'll thank you right here on the episode. So highly recommend doing that. If you guys go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys get your podcasts, wherever you guys are listening to this, just give us a 5-star review.
Honestly, we'll read it if you give like a bad review too.
I'm not going to read it if it's a 1-star review. I'm not going to read that. Oh, you know what? 2.5 and above, I'll read. How about that? And if
integrity, Corey, integrity. If it's bad, we read it.
No, I'm not going to read it unless it's really funny. So if you guys make it really funny, then I guess I'll read it. So there you guys go. But definitely,
you're gonna be mean. You've got to be funny. That's the rule.
So definitely leave us a review, like us, follow us on all social media, and look forward to whatever we're doing next. We're always trying to do something new. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Go watch a movie. How about that? Just go watch a movie. So, till next time.
Go watch The Batman.
Don't tell them what to do.
Bye.